Hi there, this is Arakai Moon with Star Siren Astrology coming to you in this hot and spicy, sometimes a little stingy, new moons and Scorpios. I don't know about you guys, but this has been rocking me like to my core. You know, this new moon is coming to commence. We are in Scorpio season fully. We have the sun and the moon, we have Venus and Mercury all in Scorpio. You know, last October, Venus went retrograde in Scorpio. So it really brought a lot of people to their knees. It brought a lot of relationships to their knees and some to their transformations. You know, there was so much that welled up for us when Venus went into Scorpio last year. And especially for me, it was literally one of the hardest times of my life. My nervous system, my emotional body, my physical body was shaken. And some of that trauma, some of those memories are still stored, you know, and it's not that they were all created, you know, last October. When Venus moved into Scorpio, it was a time of really bringing up a lot of, for some people, karmic, deep, buried, hidden desires and deeply shameful wounds and betrayals. So now Venus moves into Scorpio again, immediately opposed Uranus last full moon in Aries. Since the full moon in Aries, there has been so much coming up. You know, it is some strong energy. You know, the Libra season was really getting us fine-tuned to, you know, our needs and others' needs, you know, making us aware of social and energetic dynamics, how to balance, you know, our lives and our needs with others. How do we dance? How do we have that communication and that collaboration, or revealing how we've compromised ourselves, how we've maybe lost ourselves, been overwhelmed by the other, you know? And that Aries full moon brought up these deep wells of desires and this need for freedom, this need for like, this is what I want, this is who I am, I need to rediscover and self-actualize. You know, it gave us a lot of fire to do that. And it might have shaken the foundations of some of the things, like our relationships, like our work, like whatever is keeping us from living in that authenticity, of living in that rhythm of our drum, right? And then we move into Scorpio season after all of that, with the new moon conjuncting the sun 4 degrees in Scorpio, directly opposing Uranus in 4 degrees of Taurus. So we have this potent Taurus-Scorpio axis here. For one, the moon in Uranus is a powerfully electric time. You know, Scorpio it's beyond just superficial social dynamics, how to balance, how to create justice. It's like get down to the nitty-gritty, get down to the deepest fucking desires of why you incarnated, the deepest desires of how much you want to merge with something else, you know, the deepest places where you've lost your power, the deepest places where we long, the deepest. You know, Scorpio is about sex, money, and power. And why is it sex, money, power? Because it's Kundalini. It's life force, sexual energy. It's what is underneath the surface. You know, Libra deals a lot with what is on the surface. Pen meets paper, my needs versus your needs. Libra is like, this is how we want things to look. This is how we want things to feel. There's a beauty in that. There's an art. And then Scorpio takes it to such a more human, vulnerable, and shameful level. You know, because where there's sex, money, and power, where there's a deep desire for merging, for like pushing our own limitations and our boundaries to become something else, you know. It's like the shaman merges with the jaguar. It's like me merging with the serpent. It's like in that we become, the serpent and I become something different. We become more powerful when we merge, and more vulnerable. Like suddenly this portal to the divine and to my own sense of new power, and this place that I can now reach because of this other consciousness, this other being, is found inside of that being. And when that's the case, there's codependence or a loss of power, there's betrayal. You know, Scorpio has this relationship or this experience inside of its archetype to, you know, desire that merging, which is so beautiful, desire that alchemy. But inside of the learning of how to do that in a way that still is sovereign, in a way that still has, you know, a pillar of truth, it still has a pillar of who you are, of what you value, what you are worthy of, you know, that's Taurus. Taurus is the worth and the value and that sovereign pillar of self-sufficiency. But inside of all of that worthiness and that self-sufficiency is the desire to merge, is the desire to become something even greater with another. And then that brings up all the vulnerabilities, all of the unmet needs, all the times where you tried to merge and it was taken from you, or you were abandoned and you were betrayed. You know, it takes a profound amount of trust to experience that kind of alchemy, to experience that kind of power and union with another. You know, and so Scorpio is that dance of, can you do that union while not losing yourself, while still maintaining your own worthiness and your own power. This is a relationship initiation time like no other, except for the last October when it was really full on. And those of you that want to track, like, think back on October, what was coming up for you then? Are there, you know, resonances? Are there some sort of cycles that are coming full circle? You know, 6 months ago, the sun was conjunct Uranus, and now Uranus is opposing that sun. So what that tells me is that we have these cycles. You know, the sun conjuncting Uranus 6 months ago would have set us on a new path, would have liberated some real stuck patterns, and we might have really set out on something new. We might have really decided that, oh, this is what I really need, and this is what I want, and this relationship isn't in alignment, or this needs to be in alignment, or this work, or whatever it is, whatever it looks like, however, whatever reflection in your life starts shaking you up, start shaking the foundations of who you are, start shaking up that worth, you know. Fast forward 6 months to now, and we have this opportunity for a new cycle. You know, what changes have you made? How are you actualizing those places where you need to implement your worth and your value system? You know, how vulnerable can you be inside of your relationships? Are you having your needs met? You know, this is a time when we have these really crazy deep parts of us welling up to be met, to be heard. This is a time when we need and we project and we really can get extremely volatile and extremely projection oriented. Like, they're not meeting my needs, slash and burn, cut loose, or this is too intense, I need to stay on the surface. You know, it's like the subconscious, the universe is taking you down. It is the siren's call to go inside. You know, whether we like it or not, these deep places are going to be calling for us. And it's how willing are you to go there? You know, how willing and how capable are you to traverse these realms of your own desires, these realms of your own unmet desires, of your own wounds? And why I say capable is because our ability to do this in a way that really draws us into union and really draws us into personal empowerment without just projecting it onto our relationships, of really bringing ourselves into a personal empowerment. Scorpio asks us to find the places where you've given your power away, but also where you're controlling, where are you obsessing, where are you possessive and scared and manipulating or using power over. You know, sometimes this can be a fight for power, you know, and it may feel like the other person is holding power over you, but sometimes in that reaction, you're holding power over them. It's like, can you see outside of the dynamics? In order to open to the juiciness of Scorpio, to the like lightning of Uranus coming in, you know, the Kundalini awakening, the shock of new sudden insights. You know, I feel like shock and sudden insights are going to be coming with this crazy amount of electricity, with this profound high voltage of new awareness. But in that space, it comes through this like really like deep nitty gritty pain and like the watery depths, you know. It's not just like fully transcending. It's like you have to bring all of that lightning and all of that awareness, bring it all the way into the deepest parts of your earth and your water and your sexual energy, the deepest caverns of your being that holds trauma, that holds wounds and pain, you know. And that is so painful. And to not move in a space of fear when those things arise. Like for me, this kind of energy really triggers this avoidant, anxious attachment style. You know, if my love gets avoidant, I like feel so anxious. You know, I used to be avoidant in my life, like almost my entire life. And then now I'm met with this boundary and this withdrawal and the fear and the longing and the trauma rises up from such a different place inside of my nervous system. And it's an extra challenge to meet that part of me and see, ooh, whoa, there's the place where I feel jealous. Woo, there's the place where I feel small and like vulnerable and lost, you know. Like hardly, these things hardly arise. But when they do, and it's been happening, I've been feeling existential terror of like, where am I in this world? Like, who am I? Am I alone? Am I going crazy? Like Uranus and the moon, it brings us to our psychological edge. It brings us to not only the collective consciousness, where there's trauma embedded in the collective psyche, but to our own. And to really find a way to navigate. Like if you're a sensitive, empathic person, be mindful that our psyches and our nervous systems are extra sensitive right now to connect so deeply with the collective or to our partners or to the people around us, and for that to trigger our own traumas and woundings. And if we just keep bouncing off of each other and ping-ponging and eclipsing and we can't see and we're trying to like make it better, coming from these scared places, coming from these places where we've lost power or we're afraid to be betrayed or abandoned or whatever it is, like this will spin us out. This will rock your nervous system to the core. You know, so it is an extra time to don't step out of your center. And when you do, if you reach out, I think it's a time where those projections, those clingings to have the other meet it, or the other hear you, or the other somehow give you that validation, or give you the power back, secure you, it's going to be devastating. It's not going to be met. It is a time where it's harsh reflection to like actually burn and dissolve those patterns of reaching outside, those patterns where we fixate of where the other has power. You know, how it's going to look in our personal lives is deep and internal. You know, how it's going to look on the main stage is another thing. You know, Mars is in Libra right now, you know, really desiring that harmony and that balance, but it's being squared by Saturn. You know, so again, it's a relationship time of integration and initiation. You know, Mars square Saturn is challenging. You know, Mars represents our will, our fire, our direction. And Saturn is like government, authority. And when they're squaring, it's like when we want something and we go for it, we get roadblocked. We get pushed back. We have somebody else withholding what we want. We have somebody else saying no, you know? And it's not just so Saturn can like demolish us. It's so that we get initiated. It's so that that inner masculine, so that that drive gets humbled and refined. It gets alchemized. It's like the knight getting initiated by the king, by the government, by all of it, so that it can really step into its power, that it can really step into authorship. And it's in the stage, the arena of where it hits us most home and vulnerable. It's in our relationships. It's in our sexuality. It's in our ability to have our needs met. You know, this is a challenge for, are you in a place of worthiness? Are you living, creating your life in a way that reflects your value system? Where are you losing your power, and reclaim it? And try to do it in a graceful way. Like, I've been doing it in a not graceful way. This week has been hard. Like, I can't even say how hard it's been. You know, Scorpio season, everything I've loved, like the deepest loves have been taken during Scorpio season in my life. And I don't want to call that in anymore, but there have already been profound losses. Just yesterday. It's like, it's this time of letting some things go, some shedding happening. And it's really, really important that ultimately it brings you into this really fortified, graceful place. And so with that, please message me, comment below, like and subscribe. I would love to hear and come together really during this time to share, like, where are the places that Scorpio rocks you? You know, how do you feel that axis of Taurus Scorpio, of you being sovereign and in your power and your worth, and that desire for emergence? How do you balance your relationship to power? You know, this is a time to step in to your Kundalini seductive power to create your life. You know, not to get lost and crashed on the rocks of pain and woundedness, but to actually go deep inside, beyond those pains, beyond those wounds, and allow that light of Uranus to go into the deepest caverns of your ocean, like deep, deep scorpionic wells. Let that Uranus be like this electricity that brings light. Make sure your nervous system and the waters of your body aren't zapping and drying and depleting you of your power. Instead, allow this to nurture you, fortify you. Be graceful with your relationships. Stay in the alchemical cauldron. Allow them to reveal your shadow, to reveal your longings, to reveal your woundings, and allow it to bring you into a healed place. Allow it to bring you together. You know, that's my prayer. It's my prayer for myself right now and my relationship. It's my prayer for my own boundaries and worth. To have my dragon woman full on in devotion to that creative life force, so that life force and that creative potential isn't zapped from these lower octave power plays and woundings and relationship dynamics and fears of our own power. You know, Scorpio is really a time of opening up everything, taking the skeletons out of the closet, digging in deep to the places that hold your power. It's embedded inside of those places with shame. It's embedded inside of those places where you feel powerless. So this can be a humbling and deeply illuminating time. And may you have the most grace during it. May your inner power and dragon, may your higher self be brought into a deeper alignment and integrity during this journey. May this fierce part of your own power and fire inside of you surge and rise up, so that it brings you into the life and into the state of being that you want, that you were meant for, that you thrive during this time.